20 extraordinary and hard-to-believe facts about North Korea, ladies and gentlemen. After the Korean War, which lasted from 1950 to 1953, the Korean peninsula was divided along the 38th parallel, once a people sharing a common history and heritage. South Korea and North Korea gradually chose to completely different paths of development, while South Korea opened its economy, attracted investment, and quickly emerged as one of Asia's most prominent economies. North Korea built a close social system that severely restricted contact with the outside world. As made North Korea one of the most mysterious countries on the planet. Access to the global internet is heavily restricted. Popular social media platforms are not a familiar part of everyday life for most citizens. And information and the media are subject to strict government control, but that is not all. The country also has many rules and customs that are very different from what we normally see in other parts of the world. Let's explore 20 remarkable facts about life in North Korea. 1. Mobile phones. Yet, the outside world remains far away. Mobile phones are not completely unfamiliar to North Korean citizens. Some estimates suggest that millions of people in the country use mobile phones, particularly in Pyongyang and other major cities. However, owning a phone there does not provide the same freedom of communication available in many other countries. Ordinary users face strict restrictions on international calls and even communication with foreigners living in North Korea may be subject to government monitoring and control. North Korea operates a domestic telecommunications system designed primarily for users inside the country, creating a relatively closed communications environment. Therefore, even if someone owns a smartphone, that does not mean they can freely enter the global internet or communicate with the outside world. 2. The global internet is not available to the majority in many parts of the world. The internet has become an essential part of everyday life in North Korea. However, the situation is completely different. Most citizens do not have unrestricted access to international platforms such as Facebook, YouTube, or many foreign websites. Instead, they may use a domestic intranet designed specifically for users inside the country. This system provides content that has been selected and controlled by the authorities. Access to the global internet is generally limited to certain groups of people and may depend on their position, occupation, or authorization from the authorities. As a result, North Korea remains a society where the information gap between its citizens and the rest of the world is exceptionally wide. Family background can determine social status. One of the most notable features of North Korean society is a system of social classification, based partly on family background and perceived political loyalty. Reports about North Korea have described a classification system consisting of different social groups, with people assessed according to their family history and political background. This status can affect many aspects of life, including employment opportunities, education, housing, access to food, and social benefits. Families considered loyal to the state may have greater opportunities, while people whose backgrounds are viewed as politically unfavorable can face significant restrictions. What makes this system particularly striking is that such assessments may not be based solely on an individual's own actions. They can also be connected to the history and background of their entire family. For Pyongyang is not a city everyone is free to choose as home. Pyongyang is the political and administrative center of North Korea and is considered a city with a special status. Not every citizen can simply decide to move to the capital. Residency is generally regulated by the state and can be influenced by a person's occupation, family circumstances, and social status. For many people, therefore, living in Pyongyang is not simply a matter of personal choice. The capital is home to numerous government institutions, important organizations, and areas that receive priority investment. As a result, life in Pyongyang can be significantly different from life in many other parts of North Korea. 5. high-rise buildings. But electricity and elevators are not always reliable images of Pyongyang, often leave a strong impression with their wide boulevards and numerous high-rise buildings. However, behind this modern appearance, infrastructure problems still exist. Some people who have left North Korea have reported that power outages can affect the operation of elevators in high-rise apartment buildings. Residents living on lower floors or very high floors may sometimes have to use the stairs. When the elevators are not working, this highlights the gap between the appearance of modern architecture and the actual operating conditions of the infrastructure, which remains an issue worth noting. Electricity and water supplies are also not always consistent in every area. 6. Hot showers are not a common luxury. One thing that may come as a surprise to many people that having some areas, central heating systems and hot water supplies remain limited. During the winter months, residents may have to find alternative ways to heat their homes or boil water. Those with better financial means may be able to use private heating or water heating equipment, while as public beach, to some extent, the energy and infrastructure challenges that North Korea continues to face. 7. Hairstyles and clothing were once influenced by the state. Personal appearance has also become a notable topic when discussing North Korea. Some reports indicate that hair salons once displayed recommended hairstyles for men and women. As a result, choosing a hairstyle was not viewed entirely in the same way as in societies where individuals can freely change their appearance. Women may have several hairstyle options, but government regulations and social norms still apply. Western-style clothing has also faced restrictions. Blue jeans, for example, have been regarded as a symbol of Western culture and have at times been banned or restricted. These rules reflect efforts to maintain a distinct cultural identity and limit outside influences. 8. Television offers very few choices. While families in many countries may have hundreds of television channels to choose from, people in North Korea have far fewer options. Television is state-controlled, and the number of channels available to the public is quite limited. Broadcasting schedules are also different from the around-the-clock television systems found in many other countries. Programs mainly focus on official news, education, culture, entertainment, and other content approved by the state. As a result, television serves not only as a source of entertainment but also as an important tool for delivering information and shaping public views. 9. Tourists usually have to follow controlled routes. For foreigners, traveling to North Korea is not as simple as taking an ordinary vacation. For many years, China has been one of the most important gateways for travelers entering North Korea. There have been flights from China to Pyongyang, while some visitors have also been able to travel by train. As a result, Pyongyang has become the main destination for most international visitors. However, trips are generally organized according to approved itineraries, and tourists must follow numerous rules throughout their stay in the country. 10. Tourists cannot freely interact with local residents. One of the most distinctive aspects of tourism in North Korea is the level of control over interactions between visitors and local people. Tourists cannot simply visit local residents' homes, interview people on the streets, or independently gather information about everyday social life. Attempting to approach a local person and ask sensitive questions could potentially get a visitor into trouble. This is why tours in North Korea are typically conducted according to a set itinerary and accompanied by guides, rather than allowing foreign visitors to explore freely as they would in many other countries. 11. Tourists' luggage may be thoroughly inspected when entering North Korea. Travelers' belongings may be subject to inspection. Phones, cameras, books, and other materials brought into the country may be checked if authorities believe they contain sensitive content, political or religious materials, as well as content considered inappropriate by the authorities, could potentially cause problems. Tourists also need to be especially careful when taking photographs. Not every location or scene can be photographed freely. 12. Foreigners do not use the North Korean One like local residents, another unusual aspect of North Korea involves its currency. Foreign visitors do not use the North Korean won in the same way as local residents for transactions involving international visitors. Currencies such as the euro, US dollar, and Chinese yuan are commonly used. This is quite different from many countries, where tourists typically exchange their money for the local currency before making purchases. As a result, the currency system is also a distinctive part of the experience for foreign visitors too. North Korea. 13. North Korea once used its own calendar system. North Korea once used the Juki calendar, which was based on the birth year of the country's late leader, Kim Il-sung. Under this system, Juki year 1 corresponded to 1912. This made the way years were recorded in North Korea quite different from the Gregorian calendar commonly used around the world. North Korea also once established its own time zone, known as Pyongyang time, creating another difference in how time was observed compared with neighboring countries. 14. A very different tax system. North Korea declared that it had abolished direct taxation on its citizens in 1974. This has led the country to be described as a rather unusual case within the global financial system. However, this does not mean that citizens are completely free from all financial obligations. The state still uses various methods to mobilize resources, and certain economic activities may involve contributions or other obligations. Therefore, the idea of a tax-free North Korea needs to be understood within the broader context of the country's distinctive economic system. 15. Coca-Cola once became a symbol of difference. Coca-Cola is one of the world's most famous brands, but the product was not officially sold in North Korea for many years. For a long time, North Korea and Cuba were often mentioned as two of the few countries where Coca-Cola was not officially available. After Coca-Cola returned to the Cuban market, North Korea remained a particularly unusual case. This also became an interesting example of how isolated the North Korean market has been from major international brands. 16. The road system remains. Limited images of the wide boulevards in Pyongyang may give viewers the impression that North Korea has a highly developed road network. However, the picture changes significantly outside the capital. A considerable portion of the country's roads remains unpaved or is in relatively poor condition. As a result, traveling between different regions can be challenging. Private cars are also not common among the majority of the population. Buses, trains, subways, and other forms of public transportation play a much more important role in everyday life. 17. Traffic lights are not as common as in many other countries. One scene that has attracted attention in Pyongyang is the sight of female traffic officers standing in the middle of intersections and directing vehicles, instead of relying entirely on automated traffic signals. Some intersections use traffic officers to manually control and direct traffic. Images of uniformed female traffic officers standing at intersections have become a distinctive feature, frequently seen in footage of Pyongyang. Bicycles are also a common means of transportation and have been subject to specific regulations, including registration or license plates in some circumstances. 18. Cars are extremely expensive for most North Koreans. Owning a private car is far from easy. Cars are reportedly very expensive compared with average incomes, while the supply of privately owned vehicles is also limited. As a result, public transportation continues to play an important role in everyday life. Bicycles are also widely used, especially in areas outside major urban centers. 19. A massive stadium and large-scale performances. North Korea is well known for its ability to organize enormous mass events. The Rongrado 1st of May Stadium in Pyongyang was once known for having a capacity of around 150,000 people. In addition to sporting events, the stadium has hosted massive group performances involving tens of thousands of participants. One of the most famous examples is the Ariring Festival, which combines music, sports, dance, and highly synchronized performances. Involving huge numbers of people. 20. The military holds a special position in society. The military plays a major role in North Korea's political and social life. The country maintains a large armed force relative to its population and devotes significant resources to national defense. Military service also occupies an important part of the lives of many young people. Men are required to serve for extended periods, while women may also be subject to military service under certain regulations. The military is not only involved in national defense but also has an influence on various other areas of society. A controversial system of punishment. North Korea has been accused of applying a system of punishment that can affect multiple generations within the same family, according to reports cited in the original material. Relatives of a person convicted of a crime may also face serious consequences if these reports accurately describe the situation. This would be one of the harshest aspects of North Korea's legal and prison labor system: poverty and difficult living conditions despite the grand buildings and major development projects in Pyongyang. Many parts of North Korea continue to face serious international. Sources have provided different estimates of the extent of poverty and shortages of basic necessities in the country. This creates a striking contrast between the image of the capital and conditions in rural areas and more disadvantaged regions. Are images of people crying when meeting their leaders. One image that frequently appears in media coverage of North Korea is that of people crying during events attended by the country's leaders. Strong emotional displays have also been seen during funerals for former leaders and at major political events. There may be many reasons behind such reactions, ranging from political beliefs and ideological education to social pressure and personal emotions. In a society where the leadership is given a particularly prominent position, public displays of loyalty can carry significant meaning, and the story of Choco Pie. One of the most famous stories associated with North Korea involves Choco Pie, a popular snack from South Korea. Some North Korean defectors have said that they particularly enjoyed the treat. Choco Pie subsequently became an interesting cultural symbol, representing everyday South Korean products that North Koreans could encounter through various channels. There have also been efforts to send food and information from South Korea into North Korea using balloons and other methods. As a result, a small snack cake became a symbol of the differences in everyday life between the two Koreas. Conclusion. Ladies and gentlemen, North Korea is a country filled with many things that continue to fascinate and intrigue the outside world, from its closed internet system and regulations governing society and daily life to the way it manages foreign visitors, transportation, currency, the special role of the military, and the prominent position of its leaders. All of these elements contribute to a society that is remarkably different from many others around the world. However, when learning about North Korea, we should also remember that much of the information about the country is difficult to independently verify. Some statistics and stories reported by international media or provided by defectors may vary depending on the source. Therefore, it is important not only to focus on the unusual aspects of North Korea, but also to understand them within the broader historical, political, and social context of the Korean peninsula. If this video has given you a new perspective on this mysterious country, don't forget to follow the channel for more fascinating stories from around the world. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.